Welcome to the Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. I'm your host, Suzan Chin-Taylor, CEO and founder of Creative Raven, the firm that helps wastewater industry contractors and manufacturers unlock the power of digital marketing, AI, and PR to boost sales and opportunities. Whether it's through our online marketing and lead generation programs or providing a fully outsourced marketing department, we are passionate about helping businesses in the wastewater and civil infrastructure sectors not just survive, but thrive in today's digital world. Each episode, I'll be bringing you expert tips and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. We are continuing our visit with Mike Hoffmaster, Vice President of OBIC Products. So welcome back to the show, Mike.
Thanks, Suzanne.
I'm so excited to continue this conversation. And last time we were really talking about the history of OBIC and products and business model. And we kind of left off of where we saw Trenchless going and where some of the biggest opportunities may be for this industry, not just for manufacturers, but installers. And there was a consensus that it looks like it should be or could be in stormwater assets and stormwater rehabilitation. So I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about this, because we all know that with all of the extreme weather events that we are experiencing, not just in the United States, but really around the world, our stormwater and drainage assets are really taking a beating. And many of them are well beyond their asset life, their design, but really they're being put under a lot of pressure. And so I just want your thoughts on this and where you see the market should or needs to go with addressing some of these issues for our stormwater assets, and what dangers might lie underneath the surface of these buried assets if we really don't take a more proactive approach like we have with our wastewater assets and really give our stormwater assets some love.
And I think that's, I think you're spot on with, I think, where the next move is. You know, the federal government, they were really, the EPA was behind the huge push on the wastewater side, because the consent decree orders that we,
Right.
have known about for the past 25 years. And so, unfortunately, with those, municipalities and wastewater authorities absolutely positively had to make these fixes that were pointed out by the EPA, because if not, the fines that they would be levied were
Right.
so hefty that they wouldn't be able to survive them. And unfortunately, while it's a controversial subject about rain tax or stormwater tax, people don't want to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not, on the stormwater side, there's no way to pay for these repairs that are starting to occur, and corrugated metal pipes that have rusted out over the time because of salt, maybe in areas where they experience snowfall or ice.
Right.
And those pipes weren't designed for that type of environment. And so there's no way to pay for these repairs. And you're seeing now that because of a street collapse and so much more impervious surface, as we continue to build on top of land that was one-time fields, the drainage structure, the more roads we put in, the more drainage we need for storm drains.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is maximizing and basically sending those structures, those systems, overboard, and there's no place for the water to go.
So, with that said, what have you been seeing as a manufacturer as far, there's no money there, but cities are going to have to do something. DOTs are going to have to do something. What are some of the ways, knowing that there's no money there, or there's some money, but not a lot of money, that they can do rather than dig and replace, which can be incredibly disruptive and it's not budget friendly? What are some of the things that they can be looking at as an alternative to take care of these issues and plan for them, and maybe just do it a little bit at a time, that to not just throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, this problem's too big, we just can't deal with it. You got to wait, and as we've seen, sometimes problems don't get taken care of until there's something like a sinkhole, and then somebody really gets hurt. That it takes, sadly, it takes someone getting seriously hurt, or unfortunately someone dying, for these issues to be dealt with. And I don't want to bring a sore subject up of that, the recent flooding down in Texas, but we can't wait anymore.
Well, I think it's interesting because I always say, politicians don't get elected to office by saying, I'm going to fix something that's out of sight, out of mind that people can't see every day,
Right.
which is the infrastructure. But instead, they'll say, oh, we're going to put a park down here in District 3 or Ward 5. And then everybody's like, in that area is like, oh, great, I'll vote for you. But once people become inconvenienced, either because of their daily commute, because of construction happening, or unfortunately a tragedy, that's what brings light to it. But you're seeing, so many municipalities and asset owners now being proactive, whether it's using CIPP, slip lining, spray on polymerics to repair those pipes, cementitious products such as geopolymers and other products out there. So you're actually seeing more and more of those decaying pipes starting to be addressed now.
And that's fantastic. So, in your field, what are some of the things that I would say the issues that these polymers or these products that OBIC offers can be used? What are the applications where they can be, so people can be educated that what options do they have? And what are they ideally suited for? Getting back to not one size fits all. And you had said in our last episode, it's okay to say no, because sometimes the solution that you're selling may not be the best fit for what that asset owner is dealing with.
Yeah, so with OBIC, we do offer culvert liners. We have both a semi-structural and a structural liner. Um, and depending on what the application is. And I think, so often with cured in place pipelining and any pipe design, you have ASTM F1216. And that allows you to design a repair under two conditions, either a partially deteriorated pipe or a fully deteriorated pipe. And so that would drive which of the coatings you would need. On smaller diameters, CIPP, I think, is, in fairness, is still probably the most cost effective way to go. But as you get to larger diameters, that's where actually like OBIC comes into play because it is human entry. And
Right.
while I'm a dwarf and only 4'6", I'm not going inside of pipes and spray. So uh, that's I'm too old for that. You would probably need three people to help get me out of the pipe when we're done. But anyway, so it would be a larger diameter pipe. It's probably 60, 66 inch and larger. When I worked with a cured in place pipe installing company before, we would line everything we could with up to a 76 inch because that was the maximum UV liner we manufactured. And then anything over that, actually, they would use, because they use the OBIC product, and that's Pleasance Construction. They're an installer in the DC area, but they would spray the pipes then with the OBIC products. And so there are spray applications, and OBIC, it does fall in the polymeric family of coatings.
Well, now for stormwater rehab, what type of prep is needed? Like, how is it different from wastewater or, manhole and sewer lines for this type of application of material? What do people need to be aware of?
When you have spray on materials, you're looking to be able to bond to the surface. And so it really depends on the host pipe or structure that you're working with. If you're corrugated metal of that nature, you're going to typically sandblast to get to near white metal. And then the product would be applied once sandblasting has occurred. If you're into a concrete pipe, you're going to go in with high pressure water and clean the pipe. Of course, remove any debris that may be laying in the troughs from rain events. Um, and with corrugated on that, you normally field pave the bottom because normally where you see a corrugated metal pipe, having its first signs of deterioration is normally in the trough, in the flow line of the water. And you'll normally see that rusting out. So we'll go in and put reinforcement, steel reinforcement in that bottom, pour concrete all the way through that base slab so that that pipe does not curl back in on itself, and
Hmm.
then coat the rest of the structure. So you do have to watch. You have to watch humidity and moisture. Polymerics are not big fans of certain dew points, and so you do have to have an experienced crew to know what they're doing.
So that, yeah, and it all gets back to what Dustin said when we were talking about before, is it's prep, prep, and prep. So, Mike, a number of years back, you and I worked on a story, and it was involving UV GRP when you were with Pleasance. And it was in an environmentally sensitive, I guess you would say, watershed, where the storm drainage entered into an area that was protected. And so when we talk about this for storm water assets, when you're looking at a product or a methodology, and especially as it relates to polyureas, polyurethanes, anything, that OBIC offers or other competitors offer, just in that product category. If you're talking about an environmentally sensitive area, what are some of the protocols that need to be followed if you decide as an asset owner, wow, this sounds like, UVGRP, maybe it's a really large line. We don't have the ability to line this. We don't have the ability to slip line this. I want to go with this. What are the things that we need to be aware of in order to protect the environment, or protocols that have to be put in place when we're in those sensitive areas?
So I think it's any good common practice that best practices are implemented, right? So there's over the years we've heard the issues with styrene and things of that nature from steam cured type applications. There's so many proper steps that can be taken to contain or mediate those negative impacts on environmental situations. So I just think you need to understand what you're specifying in fairness, and making sure that you're not dealing with something if there is leaking that's going to contaminate a waterway or things of that nature. I mean, in my UV days, there was one even with little boxed turtles that we had to
Oh,
worry about, and things of that nature. There was an article with NASCO about that. Um, so I think as long as common sense and proper safety precautions are taken, Suzanne, it's easy enough to navigate what's correct for each project.
that's a really good point. Really good point. It's like, know your environment, know your product, and ask questions. It all comes down to asking the right questions, right?
Exactly. And as I said, not every product is the right product for each project. So, you want to entrust somebody, one of the engineer knows the correct product to spec, and also have integrity from companies that can help direct and say this is not the best product for this application.
Now, we started off the talk early on in this about stormwater, that there haven't been monies set aside for this, or a stormwater tax or whatnot. And so, what do you see as a potential solution for this? Because we can't ignore these stormwater assets. What do you see as what may come down the pike to help communities take care of these issues that are only going to get worse over time if we ignore them?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's that three-letter word of tax that
Yes.
most of us don't want to hear, right? But it's the only way, unfortunately, that municipalities are going to be able to address these repairs. And you are seeing municipalities being able to budget money now to spend and start allocating over a 5-10 year plan, where they'll go through an assessment, just like they have done with wastewater,
Mm-hmm.
and basically score their system
Right.
and start attacking the most vulnerable first. And I think that's a good way to go about it. But you are seeing a lot of municipalities now that in major cities that do have a stormwater tax or a rain tax. And a lot of times those are paid by like new developers and things of that nature when new development's going in. So it does ultimately get passed on to people like you and I who end up purchasing a home or a condominium in that complex because that fee that they had to pay is being wrapped into what the cost of your living is going to be.
Right. Well, it has to be done no matter what. And we think about sometimes we have a tendency in the industry to divide as it's kind of almost an us and them. It's the stormwater's here, the wastewater's here, the potable water's here. But if we think about it, it's all one water. The stormwater becomes the drinking water, and then the drinking water goes down the drain to become the wastewater that goes back out to the watershed that becomes, so it just keeps going around and round and round in a circle. And we all know that if the stormwater system is not taking that water away and is failing, it does impact through I&I the wastewater system, which then in turn impacts the wastewater treatment plant. And so everything is in, it's that we can't have that attitude of us, and everything is so tightly interconnected more than we even realize.
It's one big circle.
It is one big circle. Yeah. And I think it is that we have to help all these different facets of the industry, or segments of the industry. We all have to help each other in telling the story and educating that we're all in this together.
Exactly. And there's a lot of great companies out there to work with. And I think there's so many we always hear of, the bad ones, sort of like the Google review that I mentioned on our previous episode. But there's and I always say it's sort of like a bad day. We need a bad day because if everyone was good, we would just assume that they're always going to be like that. And so it's no different than when you're dealing with contractors. But there are a lot of great people, and that's the thing I've enjoyed about my 40 years in the industry is I've met some fantastic people such as yourself. I would have not met you had it not been for the industry. But there's just a lot of people that want to do good.
Oh, and ditto, Mike, because I've been around 25 years, and it's just, came in, and 6 months in, I realized, wow, where have you been all my life? Kind of thing, where it was just I fell in love with the industry. And let's face it, it's dealing with some dirty stuff, but at the end of the day, I really truly believe it's about the people. I think most of us that come in and realize what we have here, it's the relationships and the people in this industry that make it such a great place to be. I'm trying to encourage our triplets to, at least one of you, please go into this industry. It's because this is a phenomenal career. And as long as there's people on the planet, we're going to need water. We're going to need a way to get rid of our waste. So it's recession proof. It's recession proof.
As one of my co-workers say, and one of my mentors, Bob Koffenstein, he's like, people flush every day. And so, it's job security.
There you go. There you go. Well, Mike, it has been an absolute delight having you on the show. And as always, just being able to have a great conversation with you. And for those of you tuning in, thank you for sharing your time with us today. But also, if you're interested in just talking to someone who's just I guess I would say a wealth of knowledge about this industry, reach out to Mike. You can find him on LinkedIn. If you're interested in the things that his company has to offer at OBIC Products, you can visit their website, obicproducts.com, but connect with him. He's just a great person to be connected to in the industry. He is very generous with his knowledge for colleagues, and just has been, a delight for me to have the relationship and the friendship that I've had with him over the years in this industry. We've worked together on projects, and he's one of the good guys. So I encourage you to reach out and connect. And Mike, again, thank you for being on the show. And thank you, audience, for spending time with us. And until next time, keep it flowing. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level and start increasing sales and opportunities for your business, reach out to us at Creative Raven. We're here to help you thrive in the digital landscape. Visit creativeraven.com or click the link in the show notes below to schedule a call and learn how we can support your growth. If you enjoyed the insights on today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep growing and keep it flowing.